Welcome to question 5 in our 10 direct answers about the infinite banking concept series. I'm going to look at what are the types of things that could potentially go wrong in the infinite banking concept. Well, first of all, many times people will ask about insurance companies, oftentimes neglecting the fact that they're one of the most stable groups in all of finance, in all of the financial industry. However, I'm not talking about stock insurance companies. I'm talking explicitly about mutual insurance companies. Many of these companies have been around for well over 100 years, some of them dating back to the 1850s and even longer. They've been in very good financial position for much of that time, if not all of that time. So much so that many of them have paid dividends in excess of 130 years. And when you scale that back to when that is in terms of financial health, we are talking about through many of the hardest times in history. We're talking about the Spanish flu outbreak. We're talking about World War I, talking about World War II, the Great Depression. We're talking about 1970s with stagflation. These companies have paid dividends in every one of those years because they are thinking from a long-term perspective. They build their companies, they build their financial strength around being stable and being solvent well over 100 years from now. So that's the type of mentality that is at play for a lot of these companies. So could they theoretically go bankrupt? Could they theoretically have some of these issues? Yeah, anything is possible. However, when you look at the likelihood of that and you look at the financial strength of these companies, it is rock solid. Not only that, being an insurance company, there is a structure that exists within all insurance companies, life insurers in specific, that there's a bail-in process that if a company were to, for some reason, fail, all the other insurance companies have to bail in and help take care of those potential claims for those companies. I don't need to get into those details here today, but when we think about just the specific risks of an insurance company, in particular with the infinite banking concept talking mutuals, that risk is extremely low. Their job, their focus is about prevention of risk, and they are structuring themselves to be able to handle that for the next 150 years. Now, what are the other risks that exist? Well, there's policy mismanagement. Sometimes people can make mistakes with their policies. They can perhaps forget about a premium. Perhaps they could over leverage a policy in which they have loans that are continuing to accumulate, and that interest starts to add up. Now, again, these are situations that are generally going to be present in terms of policy mismanagement because someone's not following the core principles of the infinite banking concept that Nelson Nash has laid out. I have a separate video for that, actually a bunch of different videos that are focused all around Nelson's core principles that I think are really important when we think about the infinite banking concept. And what do those really focus on? They're focusing solving for those human behavior problems. And those are the things that we're trying to solve for. If we solve for those human conditions, those human problems, we actually avoid many of the potential quote unquote risks that exist within the infinite banking concept. This system really is a discipline-based system. It's for a person who is going to take it seriously and adapt to it as a lifestyle. The infinite banking concept is about controlling the banking process. It's about how money flows in through our hands and where it gets redirected and how it gets put to use. We're the ones in control. So that means we need to don our hat and really understand what's happening in this system, in this process. Understanding is the key. So any real risk is primarily going to come from a misunderstanding or not working with a qualified or a good practitioner that can help somebody through some of those processes and ultimately avoid those risks.